What is up, everybody? Welcome to AK Plays. I'm AK. Let's play.
Jesus Christ.
Alright, everybody. Today we are doing some PvP, and I'm going to be talking about how I feel about PvP, the Division 2 beta as a whole, and just kind of the conclusions that I've come to. Now, for those of you that have tried it out, you're going to probably have your own opinions, and I definitely want to talk about it in the comments because everybody had a different experience in this beta. There were so many different things going on and so much to do in such a short amount of time. Plus, everybody had different weapon drops, loot drops, different experiences, landmarks, so it is going to be pretty biased on what happened to you and your experience. In my experience, I did all of the missions, all of the different PvE stuff, but then I tried to get in as much PvP as humanly possible. I was a little disappointed we didn't get to do any level 30 PvP. I kind of was expecting that. Don't know where I got that expectation from, but I was expecting it nonetheless. Now, in the PvP, what I've noticed is a couple things. It's so unbelievably different from Division 1 PvP, which any of you that played it know, and any of you that didn't, it is. It is extremely different, and it is basically an entirely different kind of PvP. And that isn't necessarily a bad thing, and it's not necessarily a good thing. It's not inherently either. I think that it's different, but if you get used to it and work at it, you can be just as good and have just as much of a skill gap in this kind of PvP. However, it's not as flashy. It definitely doesn't look as cool if you're good at this kind of PvP. Not saying that I am. I actually took a long time to get used to this kind of PvP. But if you were to get good at this kind of PvP, it will be very cover-based, a little explosive-oriented, and depending on how they change weapon damages, right now I saw LMGs, snipers, and shotguns as extremely powerful in the beta. If they change that, then we'll see what happens, but at the present moment, those were pretty much the top dogs when it came to weapon types. And using those kind of weapons mixed with your explosives, especially the Seeker Mine, which did unbelievable damage, it was a very interesting kind of PvP. So we'll see if they change it up. I am pretty sure that they're going to, just because it felt a little like they unintentional to make the Seeker Mines that strong. And of course we're level 7s, so it's not like this is going to be what endgame PvP looks like. And this level 7 PvP was not my favorite. Even knowing how it works and knowing exactly how they changed PvP and the different tactics that need to be used to be effective, I still didn't like level 7 PvP. And that's because it felt like there was no RPG dynamics at all. It felt like you were just playing a strict looter-shooter and fighting like you were all normal DPS builds, with a little bit of healing from your fixer drone. So that part I didn't love. I liked the Division for its RPG elements. I liked having a healer, a tank, a DPS build, doing that. Having different hybrids, doing that kind of thing. That is interesting to me, and that's what makes the Division great, in my opinion, is because it's so different than any other game type. Now, to get those RPG elements, I saw the level 30 character, I looked at the different gear that you had, and it felt like at level 30 we will be able to do that. You can load up into skill power, you can get your cooldown reductions a lot lower, different specializations have different skill mods that are going to make it a little bit easier to have a healer, and of course I've seen and I enjoy the fact that you can put your healing skills on other players, like sending your fixer drone to a teammate. I think that is going to be huge. Now, a couple of things that I'm going to have to see in level 30 is what's about to happen in this clip. Is the NPCs are so unbelievably strong, because they are. It's intentional that the NPCs are really strong, so this becomes a cover-based shooter. But the NPCs will destroy you. And then secondary is what is about to happen to me and Toxic here, and that is these checkpoint turrets. Now, I thought we were pretty far out of the checkpoint. Now looking back, we really weren't. But at the same time, those things are ridiculously strong. And so it's going to take some getting used to, and at level 30 PvP, I want to see if they still one-shot you like that, because we were shocked and then dead. No time to react, no time to run away, no time to say, oopsie, we're too close to the checkpoint. It was just insta-dead, you're bad, shouldn't have gotten that close to the checkpoint. Which is a little unfair, but, and I do feel like they are really trying to put rogues at a disadvantage. which is fine. I mean, I understand that to go rogue, you should be pretty proficient at the game and pretty aware of your surroundings. So I understand why they want to make it hard on rogues. But I would like a little bit of time to react to the checkpoint turrets, and at level 30, I want to see if the NPCs are as big of a deal. And if they are, that's really something. But I don't think they will be. I think that we'll be tanky enough that it won't be as big of a deal. We will probably be a little bit more coordinated in our teamwork. Obviously, here in this first run of PvP, I wasn't exactly the most coordinated. Our tactics weren't that great because we were still pretty used to Division 1 tactics, and so it would take some time to really get used to the new game. Overall, I really like the idea of the PvP and what it can be. As it sits, and how it was as a level 7, I was not happy. But that's because we weren't in the end game, and there was such confusion and all the new systems, getting used to how everything worked in this new plan for Division 2. It was pretty difficult. I'm not one of those people that can just jump into a game and be good at it immediately. I'm not naturally talented at gaming, for sure. But my thing is I like to play the game, really understand things, and then go over it in my head and become better that way. I get better by working at something and trying to really learn the ropes. And so for me, this was definitely a learning experience, and I feel like it's something that myself and everyone could get better at over time. And it definitely could have some very competitive elements to it that'll make it a lot of fun. Two more small things about the Dark Zone that were kind of upsetting to me, but I'm sure are either going to be fixed or are very intentional, is that players don't show up as red bars on your minimap around your circle. In Division 1, if someone goes rogue behind you, they are a red bar behind you on your minimap. In Division 2, they are not. They give you no indication that someone's rogue, which may be intentional, it may not be. Next to that is that you can't tell if someone's a rogue, or if, while you're rogue, you can't tell that they are an enemy fighter, unless you're basically aiming at them or 2 feet away. I ran up to 2 players thinking that one of them was my teammate, and as soon as I got close, I said, "Hey man, you got a guy behind you." And then he said, "What do you mean? I'm not by you." And then I look, and sure enough, they were enemy players while we were rogue, and I got destroyed because I thought they were teammates because they showed no signs of being an enemy. There was no red bar on my mini-map. They weren't glowing red. They didn't have a red health bar. And to make it even more crazy, they were actually a blue dot on my mini-map, which I don't understand if they're an enemy fighter, but I'm sure that's either going to get fixed or it's something that is intentional to try to make it even harder on the rogues. Either way, either direction, it's something that's worth looking at, but not the end of the world. But those are really my biggest concerns. I'm really excited to try level 30 PvP. I think the game is going to be much better in that setting, and I think that they're going to do a lot to make this game good. Overall, I'm okay with the current state of PvP. I'm not super thrilled, but at the same time, I can see what's going to happen at level 30, and I can see how it's going to change. I think that at level 30, the PvP is going to be fantastic, and I think that it's going to be something that's definitely going to be getting used to, because it's going to be totally different than what we've done in Division 1, but it could be good, and I'm really excited to see what happens. Of course, I'm still buying the game. Of course, I'm still excited to play it. However, level 7 definitely left a bad taste in my mouth because it was very, very difficult and did not feel like the Division that I've grown to know and love. Last thing is the grenades. The grenades are extremely slow, their timers take forever, they don't have as much of an area that they affect, and throwing them feels very clumsy. Beyond that, I want them to fix that. I want them to bring back Division 1 nades where it feels very fluid. It might be intentional that they don't want that, and if that's the case, fine. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. The movement, the new movement doesn't bother me. Yes, it's clunky and it feels a little like your guy is really unathletic, but beyond that, I don't really care. The shooting mechanics make up for it. Your accuracy is better. It feels like the guns are very, very stable. You don't need to hit as many shots for it to have a big effect on the enemy you're fighting, and so it feels good, like they made up for the lack of movement by adding skill in your accuracy and your shots. So I think that they kind of balanced it that way. Of course, I love the Division 1 movement, and so I'm a little upset that it's gone, but at the same time, I'm ready to move on. So It is going to be different, but I think it's going to be fun and different in a good way. It's going to take time to get used to, but once we do get used to it, it'll be great. Last thing I'm going to mention is I did really like Skirmish, and I liked the idea of all of the things they're tracking on the leaderboards. I think that's huge. It's good that they're adding like tracked stats and the different things, your kill death ratio and things like that. I think that's huge to try to give the PvP some credibility and to make it seem really competitive and like something that's worth trying and that really makes it be taken seriously in the larger community of gaming. I think they definitely could expand upon that and make the PvP more competitive. I'll probably do a whole video on that in the future because that's something I've always wanted in Division 1, but I think that they need to make PvP very competitive and they need to make it really notable and a good part of this game. I felt like Division 1 PvP was very slighted, although we all loved it. I felt like the developers really didn't take it that seriously. So that's something that I see that they're starting to do, and I think that if they expand upon that, that would be a great thing. But overall, final conclusion, I think that at level 7 the PvP was not that good and had some issues. But I think that at level 30 and what we saw in the level 30 characters show promise, and that level 30 PvP will be much better. However, I think that it is going to take some time on the game when it releases to give you a full review and to let you know what I finally actually think. From the beta, that's my conclusions, is that it's okay now, but I think it'll be much better when we get level 30 characters. But of course, we will see when the game drops. But that's all for me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and I will catch you tomorrow.
No! God! No! God, please, no! No! No!
Run.
Finish him!
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine.